This is the 2017. Yeah.
Huh? No, it's okay. You can do it for me. Thank you, Mayor Wolgast. At this point in time, it is 6:47, and we're calling the meeting to order. I would like to say thank you for all the council members for their cooperation and all the hard work that we've been doing as the last few weeks have gone by. We had requested from council that if there were comments to go ahead and make sure that we work with staff so that we can start getting that process going. I do know, and I'm looking forward to all the other amendments and comments and questions that we may have tonight. However, our goal tonight is because of our timeline that we have to meet with the state to try to go ahead and get this budget passed on to the council body. That does not preclude the body to have further discussion after that, but we are hoping that at the end of this process, we are content with the product that we are providing our community. So at this point in time, I know that before we go forward with the meeting and move, this time I will not forget the approval of the minutes. I would like to have City Manager Colson and then further have Budget Manager Ms. Lee make some remarks.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Mine is going to come in the way of good news. Each year, before we can really truly know what the city's financial position is, we get final numbers from the county in terms of property tax collections and their specific values. That happened last week. We got news that the revenue figures that we had been using as a placeholder was actually a little bit conservative. And from a general fund perspective, there is an additional $215,000 that's available to this body, so that if there are some issues that people wanted to challenge, not that I'm challenging you to spend it all, because our goal always is to be very conservative in our financial projections and to always have contingency funds available if things don't happen as we planned on them. I think historically we have done a very good job in terms of revenue projections. We've also done a good job in terms of expense management. The idea is that we want to be able to be responsive if something happens, which is why we have contingencies, which is why we have reserve funds and do the other things. At the same time, we're always looking at the revenues, we're always looking at the expenditures, and if we need to make adjustments, we can. But in this particular case, without saying too much, we've got about $215,000 of additional general fund revenue that we didn't anticipate. We do want to point out that a little bit of that is potentially at risk. And that would be the challenge that's existing from Heartland Park. The new owners of Heartland Park are challenging the county from an appraised value perspective. That could have an impact in the, let's say 120? Is there a number? That could have an impact on that, so we'd want to reserve at least a portion of that money, probably maybe leaving $89,000 or so, $86,000 available for us to use as a final balancing act within this budget. Doug and Nikki can provide a whole lot more specific details as we go forward on that.
Thank you, City Manager. Yes, Councilwoman Ortiz.
Thank you. Can you repeat those numbers, please?
The total number that, from a general fund perspective, we have an extra $215,000. If you back out the money that we think could be potentially at risk, if the new owners of Heartland Park would prevail totally in terms of their challenge of the appraised value, that would leave us with $86,398 of unencumbered funds that exist at the budget based on the information that has been presented to this body so far.
Thank you.
Ms. Lee, would you like to make some opening comments before we get the meeting going?
Thank you.
And thank you again for making accommodations in the time tonight to add another Budget Committee meeting. Just wanted to quickly speak before we get started about kind of the timeline and the process from here. The reason that tonight is so important is that there's one more council meeting in July, that's July 12th, and we must on that night set the public hearing date and the maximum expenditures. So for those of you that have seen it before, which would be most of you, that's the official state form where we officially say that the final budget will be no more than X amount of dollars. Because of the timing of the meetings this year, that has to happen on July 12th. The reason for that is that it has to be published at least 10 days before the public hearing, and that's a transparency for the members of our public. They must see what the maximum taxes are before that is actually proposed to you all as part of the public hearing. So really backing into that, since we also don't have that meeting in August 2nd, then that really has to happen by the July 12th meeting. The reason for tonight, to meet the July 12th publication deadline for the agenda being posted, which is Thursday by noon, by our own rules, we really pretty much must make decisions tonight. Really, if not tonight, it would have to be tomorrow in order to meet that agenda deadline from here.
Thank you, Ms. Lee.
Thank you.
At this point in time, we'll start the meeting by the approval of the minutes of the last meeting. Mr. Jensen,
I would move to approve.
do I have a second? The minutes of the last meeting? We have a second. All those in favor say aye. Oh, comments, yes. Councilwoman Hiller.
I don't know about anybody else, but I didn't get them until the middle of this afternoon, and they're 12 pages long. So I haven't read them, was eager to. So I'm not ready to vote on them. I don't know whether, and they'll probably be fine, but I didn't have enough time to see them.
Would the council desire a recess of 5 minutes for us to be able to just take a look at the minutes?
I don't think they got handed out this evening either. No. I got 2 different things, but it's not the minutes.
Yeah, our minutes are back up.
No. Oh. Oh, when I pulled them up on my computer, they were 12 pages long and I fizzled. So if I missed, I'll trust everybody else. I just haven't looked at them.
I'm sorry, sir? 5 minutes? Absolutely. We will recess for 5 minutes to allow the council to look at the minutes. Thank you.